Guys, thanks for joining us. Today we have a Meet Your Supervisor. So you get me, you get Lieutenant Coop. We have our wonderful local talent, Captain McFarland. And we have our special guest, Corporal Whitelog, with us today. So thank you for joining us today. Appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
You came in on your day off to help us out, so thank you so much coming in for doing the show. So with Brant, we're going to do a Meet Your Supervisor, get a little introduction from him, get a little history. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fixing these. Keep going.
Oh my goodness!
Don't mind the man
I
behind
swear.
the curtain.
So we're gonna do a little, just walk right in. Yep, he's just gonna walk in and out. So we'll do a little Meet Your Supervisor, get a little background from you, a little history from you as well, and then kind of talk to you about your goals, your aspirations, and things that you like to see and things you don't like to see out in the field. And Brant actually brought up one of the reasons that I wanted to bring him on the podcast is he brought up some things that he thought we could talk about, and I thought it was such a good idea. I actually wanted to bring him on so he could embarrass himself for you guys. And wanted to talk about some of the officers that he's seen go above and beyond, and actually made a really good segment that I thought was showcasing those situations where we have an officer who absolutely blows something out of the water for us and goes so far above the call of duty, it catches everybody off guard. It's one of those where you kind of stand back and you're like, holy crap.
Would you say that officer's phenomenal?
It's phenomenal. See, I'm okay, guys. You don't have to worry. So they got concerned. I don't know if you.
I
yesterday.
saw that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, do you watch the podcast?
Every single one of them.
Really?
Yeah, every single one.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Yeah, caught me off guard with that too. I asked him that earlier.
Must be really boring.
So, Brant, give us a little bit about your history. Is this with in security and
How
stuff
long
like
did you
that?
start?
So I started with Titan in early January.
So just over 7 months.
Yep.
About
Yep.
8 months.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah, and you already made corporal. That's pretty good. It's actually about the same time I did.
Yeah.
Same time with the.
I went patrol corporal like about 7 or 8 months after I started. So you're on track to be the next captain.
Must be nice.
I don't know. You probably worked here. You've worked here for 10 years though, so it's different. So but back to you, Brant. So you've been here for about 8 months, 7 or 8 months.
Yeah.
What's one thing that kind of obviously you're still with us, and now that you're supervisor, I have more interaction with you, and you just absolutely just glow with positivity, and you're just a joy to have on the team. What's one thing for someone that's not or that doesn't work for Titan that about Titan that stood out to you early on, since you are still fairly kind of new?
Definitely the family aspect of it. I think in the beginning, like anything else, you're trying to get to know the culture of the company.
Sure.
I know from day one when I walked in, Officer Sparks, who trained me, he basically laid out what it is to be successful. You guys came into the classroom, introduced yourself, right? I mean, to think about, put that in perspective, if you work for, another Fortune 500 company, is the CEO, right, coming into the classroom, or is the president or vice president, right? In our structure, we have the ranking, so captain, chief,
Sure.
and even all the way up to the owner of the company. So that's...
Yeah, he does a cool thing. I was just chit-chatting with him today. He had some birthday calls to make, and sometimes if he's got something going on, but 99.9% of the time he makes those calls, and there's 415 of us now, 420.
418 or something.
Yeah, so they're just calculating in his brain. 418.
I was thinking.
Definitely 418. So over 400 officers, they're bound to have a couple a day, or and so he personally makes those calls, which is a really cool touch. I remember the first one I ever got. I was on patrol, and I was like, "Why is Titan?" Because it's from the Titan number, so it's Titan Dispatch. Excuse me. And I go, "Shit, they're gonna want me to work like an extra shift or something." I answered. He goes, "Hey, Ryan, how's it going?" I go, "Hey, what's up? Who's this?" He goes, "Oh, this is Ryan Smith." And I go, "Oh, excuse me. Hey, how's it going, sir? What's going on?" He goes, "Are you enjoying your birthday? Are you fortunate enough to have it off and stuff?" And that was just really cool. He was like, he cares.
Yes.
He gives a shit about his guys, which when you have that many, it can kind of get lost in the mix of the day-to-days, and just, that family aspect really sticks around, and we live up to it. I like to think.
I agree.
So.
I agree. So, fun fact, actually, this just happened as I was pulling it today. I almost got to be closer to him than I think you even realize. He was parked out there, and I was coming in, and and he decided to leave his parking spot as I was. So I slammed on my brakes. I was like, oh gosh, I don't want to hit.
Yeah, that's a
We
nice
avoided
truck
everything,
he's got. Yeah, yeah, that's a really
I'm gonna
nice
throw that
truck.
in reverse real quick and go the opposite direction.
Yes, I literally froze. I just
Yeah, he actually, I mean, he could park right up front and make his own spot.
I've yelled at
He
him.
parks
Yeah.
the furthest from
which is
So
cool.
when
the
he,
building.
which is
Yeah.
cool.
when that space opened up, because it was always taken by somebody else, and when it finally opened up, I think I yelled at him for like 3 weeks because nobody parked in it.
Yeah.
And I walked in, I was like, hey Ryan, I said, your spot's empty, and he goes, what are you talking about? I go, your parking space. That first parking space is yours.
Yeah.
I need you to park in
Yeah.
it because we've got this structure. And he looks at me and he goes, I loved it because he looked at me and he goes, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, no. We were following a street. He giggled. He goes, I'll park where I want. I was like, I know you will, but we're trying to follow so that way we can get everybody in line. I was like, that's your spot. And he goes,
Starts with you.
and he and
Thanks
I was
a lot,
like, I
Ryan.
need you to do that. And he was just like, okay. To this day, and it was like 3 weeks. And he looked at me, and it was like the very last time I ever asked him. I was like, Ryan, I want you to park in that spot because you deserve it. Out of everybody here, you deserve to park in that. And he looks at me and he goes, I really appreciate you asking, and I love the fact that you want us to follow that. And he goes, it's really great. And he goes, I don't want to park there. And I go, where do you want to park? He goes, wherever I want. And I was like, I can't argue with that. Like, that's
Yep.
a fair point.
He's also a health nut, so he probably has to get his steps in, so he parks far away. It's the only thing I can think of. That dude is so in tune with how healthy, like being healthy. And yeah, I'm over here like, I had 2 lunches today, but which is true. I
and
did.
a gluten-free cookie, right?
Yeah, that was
that fudge you were eating is
One
not
of the
gluten-free.
clients gave us. No,
Delish.
no, that fudge. I don't know. I highly doubt Jen watches this, but she brought that fudge from Alaska.
Oh, Jen did.
yeah, yeah.
I was wondering where it came from.
Yeah, that was really nice. So thank you, Jen. It was Gold Rush and something like that. It was delicious.
I didn't eat any of
It was
it.
fantastic. I had just a little bit, but no, I had 2 lunches today, so I'm gonna feel shitty about myself for that.
I'm over
but-
here, freaking. We started this weight loss thing together.
Yeah, he's
and
killing it.
And I'm over here
I've
killing
lost
myself.
a little bit, so that's
And you're
that's all I
over
care
here eating
about.
2 lunches. It looks like that 5 mile around the lake is yours, buddy.
No, it's as long as you make progress, you don't have to do the 5 miles.
We're gonna change that. You gotta lose.
You can't change it mid competition.
It's almost ending,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
I think it ends this
Coop's
Friday.
got a
this
faulty
Saturday.
scale, so I don't care.
I do not, thank you. I went out and bought a new one just for this.
Hey, this is about Brant.
It is.
So, ask the audience if you guys have questions for Brant. Go ahead and share those as well. What is you run the 16 to 0? What is like your favorite thing about that shift?
Yeah, I think definitely as coming in at 1600, you're getting to see the aspect of what it looks like during the day here in Titan,
Sure.
right? And then see that transition for myself, seeing Lieutenant Brown as he's passing on the torch, so to speak,
Yep.
to the next lieutenant on board, understanding what happened during the day.
Yeah.
And then, of course, as the sun goes down, the fun starts, right?
Yeah,
So,
Always.
yeah.
That's always been the way it works.
I was gonna say that was my favorite shift because I was a sergeant for a whole month before they made me drink the lieutenant Kool-Aid. But it was the 16. I had 16 to 0 Fridays and Saturdays off. I know I've said this on the show before, but that was the unicorn shift because dude, you get to get off and still kind of have somewhat of a after work life, for an hour or two, and then you crash. But your day, you can go run errands.
Yes.
You can drop your car off at the shop or whatever. Go to the DMV and spend time with your family. Have an early, probably need to do that.
Yeah.
Have an early dinner or something. And so that was always fun. I just love the hours, and so. That's why I was just curious. That 16 to 0 because, like you said, you get half of the day, and then around 8 or 9 it starts getting dark.
What's funny is I think all 3 of us, when I started as supervisor, patrol corporal, that was my shift, was the 16 to midnight. But I was.
It's usually the one that's most open because the overnight's always got that solid
Yeah.
dog
Yeah.
watch person.
And so I always I got mine was Thursday through Monday.
Yeah.
With Tuesday, Wednesdays off was my 16 to midnight there.
Right.
And then when I got moved off of that to days after that, and I was 6 days a week because we were down a guy. So it was 6 days a week.
Yeah.
Right.
But that 16 to midnight, I think a lot of our supervisors started in that area.
Yeah, and to finish that thought, obviously seeing Lieutenant Voss come in and seeing all the work that has basically been done full circle, right? Passing it off to him.
Sure.
It's interesting to go home, going to bed, and then him sending an email at 6 or 7 a.m. for
Yeah.
what's good.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa.
And
So-
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's my job to interrupt you.
Always.
Put you on the spot
I
here.
just want to say
To put you on the spot here a little bit, you just became firearms instructor certified.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So it was previously I said the most intense shooting experience I had was actually with you
Me?
and Chief, right? And that was still intense. Don't get me wrong. But there's something about driving 100 yards into an underground cave.
Yeah. Dimly lit.
And yes.
Dimly lit.
And
yeah.
you realize, like, yeah, you're the only one down here.
Yeah.
So,
there could be bodies down here. You could be the next one.
and exactly. And then
No.
he gives you, he pulls out an 8x10 or 8
Not
by 12.
even.
Right.
It's like an 8-inch,
Well,
8-inch dinner plate.
check this out. That's the piece of paper that is your backdrop for your 6-inch circle.
Yeah.
I've never shot that far in my entire. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this.
Well,
so,
I was proud of you guys. You guys both did really well. So.
Yeah. So it was good. Learned some good techniques, breathing, trigger holds, find your wall, your count, and I'll tell you what, the firearm will do its job if you do. So
That's a really good way. It's a really good way to put it.
It's one of those things I tell everybody when they're going through our class and
Yeah.
everything. When I actually get the chance to to go in and help, I always tell everybody, as long as you let the firearm do what it's supposed to, what
Yes.
it's designed to do, all you really have to do is control yourself.
Yeah.
And the firearm will do exactly what it is meant to do.
Yes.
Yeah. I probably said it when you were in my class for it is you run the gun, don't let the gun run you, and that gun will do what it's supposed to do.
For sure.
It's kind of cliche, but it's just it's one of the sayings I have because some people just need to hear that, because they're anticipating or they're just not, real comfortable. But no, you did really well when you were with us, and so I was confident. And Bruce is such a good instructor. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. What was your because you have to do a presentation. What did he give you?
So I did gun safety when it's not in use. So how to store it?
Store it.
Yeah,
Ooh,
yeah.
that's a good one.
Yeah. And I will say this. Another thing. It was good having a partner with you. So having Lieutenant Shaughnessy there, obviously, just his demeanor, like you have to be confident with that dude. So that helped a lot.
He's all business. He's all business. But no, I actually did it on a weekend. Bruce made a special exception, so it was just me. So he had me do kind of more presentation, which was fine. I didn't mind it.
I love that part, yeah.
I had to do single action versus double action, and then striker fire versus hammer. So I was just like, oh. And so I did. I mean, and I knew how to do it, or the research and everything, but there was just a lot of material to cover. But it was fun, and I threw a lot of cool slide transitions on my PowerPoint, and so he was just like, "Oh, I didn't know you can do that."
Yeah, I did. So, mine was legit. It was just a Word
Bruce's old
Excel
school.
sheet.
Yeah.
It was just like click slide 1, click slide 2.
We did a de-escalation training for the Independence Avenue CID staff and shop owners. Me and Leon did on a Saturday, which we'll start having you come to stuff. I know you really enjoy instructing and teaching, and you're just a natural. So when we were doing that, Leon was just the whole slide, and I was like, line by line, and I had that one where like it fizzes out like TV static, and everybody's just like, really? I was like, hey, you gotta have a little pizzazz, because otherwise you're just next, next.
See, that's when it comes to
read
presentation.
the slide as it appears, and people that put the slide up and read word for word what's up there, I was
my
like,
gosh.
why are you here?
See, and that's the thing.
Just give me the PowerPoint.
My slides have all the information, but I don't read the slide verbatim.
No.
So I have different notes. I always have like a little sheet that I have different notes on. So I'll touch on the topics that are on it. But mine's legitimately, I'll put the slide up and it's like, here's the main information, but here are the touch points that are going to help you remember it. No. And then it's like, next slide. So
the only thing I'll put is like facts. It'll be like, so it's like 26% of shops that don't have the register near the front or whatever, or and so information I'll pull from online that's online, so it has to be true. But no, it'll be usually reputable sources. But no,
it was interesting to give as many times as I've been on the range to actually give a group of shooters range commands. That was an aha moment for me, right? So that's a different perspective.
It reminds me of football back when I used to call it cadence because I played quarterback, and so that's exactly what it feels like. And if I have a big enough range, it was funny because I was joking around with Leon because he knows I'm a big football guy and I miss football, but there was, I think that, there would have been 7. So there was 3 and 3 and then a guy in the middle, and I stood behind the guy in the middle, and as I was giving commands, I was in the shotgun formation. He just starts laughing. And because they're all facing forward, it was like I had an offensive line for sports ball people. It's like when the quarterback stands behind the big group of big guys.
Me. Just so everybody knows it. He's explaining it for me.
I was back there. I was like, "You'll fire 1 round in 2 seconds."
I like that.
When and then holster your weapon. And so he was dying laughing.
I do the walk method. So I'll walk from one side to the other as I'm calling it out. So I say it a couple of times. but I'll walk from one side to the other, from that
Yeah.
side back, and I'll do that. And then I usually pull myself back off to the side so I can see down the entire line.
Yep. Yeah. And then, we'll start getting you involved with more of the range and stuff. And so, like, today, Tommy is currently probably,
done.
no, he's done by now. But, excuse me, we'll have you go out. We go to the bullet hole. And so you'll get to experience stuff like that. And it's again, that's something you're really good at. So we really want to see, those guys take those roles. Coop's really good at it. Unfortunately, he's really good at scheduling. So
We were just talking about
he
that.
doesn't get to do it.
And all the other things. Yes.
But we just try to put people where we're going to be most successful, and so we're really happy with you so far. So you obviously want to keep doing what you're doing. I'm trying to think anything else for the evening shift that would be.
So when you're working the evening shift, a lot of what you do is obviously you're running with the patrol guys, making sure they're on par doing what they're doing. But you also do officer inspections, and you check in on officers and make sure when you're visiting these officers, what are the main key points that you as a supervisor are looking for? Everyone knows I'm the rule guy, I'm a uniform guy, and he's a uniform guy. And so we're looking for that stuff because we want our appearance and presentation to look nice. What are the key points for you as a supervisor when you roll up on an officer? What are the key points that you focus on?
That's a great question. So obviously all those things are important. It's an entire full package, but the reality at the end of the day, when we're talking about private security, protecting people, protecting property, this is still a human business, right? So, so seeing people be attentive, seeing people smile. I always talk about this. Your nonverbal is so huge, right? Your body language, your attentiveness, you're looking in the eye, smiling, all those things. That's what I'm looking at. Just an example, I talked about this today when I went to Commerce Towers the other day. I don't want to say the officer's name, but I was watching, this was actually last night, I was watching our officer interact with what I assumed was two of the residents. I found out was accurate. And I was watching, you could see her hand, she was smiling, interacting with the pet, their dog. And as I came in, the residents turned to me, and of course they noticed me coming in, and they said, "Oh my gosh, hope she's not, you're not here to, get in trouble or something like that."
They always
I think that, right?
Every time.
Knee-jerk,
Every time.
knee-jerk reaction.
Yes.
Yeah, I was at a site just a couple days ago on last Friday, not to interrupt, but that's what I do on here.
That's
I like
all
it.
he
You
does.
did
I'm like, hey, my idea is more important. It was the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Here, watch. I can solve that real quick now.
Yeah, there's this sweet young officer that she's just sweet as can be, and she's like, "Am I in trouble?" I was like, "No, this is just random.
Yeah.
I'm just checking in on you." So,
But the residents came to and they paid an awesome compliment to the officer, and the reality of it was it was just that human interaction, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm looking for.
treat people like human beings.
That's
weird.
human, and it's something I try to tag on if I'm ever in orientation and training with these guys. Is that there's such and we talked about it before. It's that the little communications that you can do, the pleasantries, where you don't go overboard, but you can provide just a little certain amount of it that should absolutely make the difference between when somebody sees you, do they regret coming to the property, or when they walk in, do they go, I feel better about coming here, or I feel safer about being in this area. Those little pleasantries right there, it just absolutely changes the game on what we do. When you can provide that, and you saw it that night.
Yes,
it absolutely 100% makes a complete difference in everything.
I was telling this another officer out at the Hilton. He's a young man, very stoic, and that's great. Sometimes you need to be stoic in this. Sometimes it's called for that. But when I walked up, I was like, hey, it's okay to smile. He's like, oh, and I was like, where does it say we're not supposed to smile in security, right? And in fact, if you do and you say hello, that shows that you acknowledge that person. Exactly right. So
there's a mental piece of that. When you say hello, it's when we tell it to our grocery store officers. When you say hello to everybody that comes in the door, it lets even the people that are there with bad intentions. They're like, "Ooh, that guy's paying attention. That officer is actually paying attention to who's coming in and out. This might be a bad idea," and they reconsider. And you might have prevented something that would have happened.
Exactly right.
That little pleasantry, where it adds that little bit of finesse to the client and makes the client happier, actually provides a real world assistance to something. It makes somebody think about doing something.
Yes.
Makes them second guess that nature.
Agreed.
So
it's a lot harder to do something bad if you have bad intentions. If someone's actually nice to you, not saying you still can't do it, but it makes it a little bit more difficult.
It makes it a little bit more difficult, but it also allows that they're paying attention.
Right. Exactly.
That's a very good point. And I remember when when I was at an on-site, when you engage with people that come in, there was definitely some situations where I felt like that person probably had some ill intentions, just because, well, for one, this person did in the past, and so I do. But just engaging and being nice, I think they're like, I'm not going to mess with it today, or something along those lines. And so, yeah, it's a very accurate statement, especially, and it's good for the new guys or existing officers to pick up on is, be nice to people. For one, just be a good human being, but secondly, it's going to make your job easier.
Yes,
Absolutely. So you actually brought something up, and it's why I wanted to drag you onto the podcast besides the Meet Your Supervisor, which provided a great segment for that. You had brought up officers that have gone above and beyond for not just the clients or for us, but for themselves, and have stepped up in a situation or in a way that would be outside the norm.
Right.
And we've done shout outs, and we've done, Officer of the Month and Officer of the Year and stuff like that. But Brant had a really good idea of bringing that stuff up when it comes to those above and beyond moments where it's not something you're going to really hear about on a regular basis. The only people who are going to know about it is a supervisor who might randomly stop by and see it while it happens. And those moments, those little things like that mean the world to our clients. They mean the world to us, to the supervisors that are out in the field. And you have a couple of really good examples that you wanted to bring up. And we're not going to name any names. We're not going to post any clients out where it happened. But you had some really good examples that I actually want you to go over. You'd already told me about.
Yeah.
I've got two at the end, and I am going to name names just because I want to.
Yeah.
But I've got two at the end, so.
Okay.
Fantastic. So take us through those ones that you were talking about.
Well, so from my perspective, when I started as an officer, you feel like you're on an island out, right, at your site potentially, right, and having no awareness with what you deal with here at Titan, right?
Yeah.
Leadership deals with. Sometimes you're dealing with a lot of just tough stuff, right?
Yeah,
with clients,
absolutely.
right? And then vice versa is true, right? So we don't always have an idea of what our officers are doing. It's kind of that old adage, no news is good news per se. It's
sure.
like, okay. That said, if our officers are doing what they're doing, protecting the property, the client, showing up on time, doing all those things, writing good reports, awesome, right?
Yeah, exactly.
This past week, I was witnessing that. I was back up on a dispatch call, and after everything settled down, our officer noticed that an individual had ran out of gas, right? So again, we're there for dispatch call, got everything taken, everything was code 4. Started conversating
For those of you who don't know what that
thank
means,
you,
it means everything's okay.
Yes.
All clear.
Yeah. Started conversating with this individual that was obviously struggling to get his vehicle started. Our officer went over there after a decent conversation. Our officer went and bought a gas little
Canister?
Canister. Filled up with gas, brought it back, and filled that customer's vehicle up, and they drove away. Right.
Well.
And you guys, nobody's ever going to know about.
No one's gonna know about that.
Yeah.
Right. I bet that officer didn't call you guys or make a report.
Nope.
Right, because that's the type of caliber of officers we have out there, right? And yeah, we'll high five them for the way this person handled the dispatch call, as well as we should, right?
Right.
Because did it well. But what I witnessed there was way above and beyond what we're ever asked.
Yeah,
to
that's
do,
a-
right?
Above and beyond the call
It's
service.
a
Yes.
fantastic
Yeah.
touch, and let me know who that person is,
yeah.
And we'll take care
For sure.
of them. Yeah.
And then the next one, same concept. I was we were in a tougher part of KCK. And it's definitely a tough part. And witnessed this. We couldn't tell at first, but this individual, in finding out he was 17 years old, he just got a new foster family. So he uprooted from Topeka, and he was a week into his new foster family. He stood out because he had a polo shirt on, tucked in, and with khakis on. He definitely
Right.
Nobody else had a polo tucked in. Trust me, right?
Yeah.
And the bus, he got off on the wrong exit of his bus. His phone died. He couldn't get a hold of his foster parents, and he was literally scared to death. And he ran officer down, and we went back we went back and forth with. I actually called Lieutenant Fields to confirm that we couldn't do any transport. All that
unfortunately,
for
yeah.
everyone.
Unfortunately.
No, so that's fine. So what are other options, right? He was 1.3 miles from home.
Yeah.
We ended up calling multiple. This officer called multiple Ubers. Once the Uber, I think, found out the location, canceled, and so this officer was like, "Hey, we are going to walk this kid home." I was like, "Roger that." Yeah, he's
Yeah.
not. And luckily, at the end, an Uber did so. This officer paid for an Uber for this kid and communicated with the Uber driver. Obviously, you can track all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Explain the situation. The lady was was like a soccer mom. She was super sweet.
Nice.
And now that kid is going to remember that for the rest of his life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Those are great stories
Yeah.
to hear, and I'm sure Brian's watching, and he's just like because he's all about promoting that stuff.
Yes.
Brian is a big advocate of the the unsung heroes, the ones that do what they're supposed to do. And I mean, we all are. I am too. And it sounds like you're following that path, which is great, because we deal with bad news every day. Just bad news of this happened. Some kid got shot. I literally was with a client yesterday that explained to me how a kid, and it's a really bad part of town, kid got shot at their house, and then obviously got treated, everything, and it was okay, and went up to her, and I'm talking a child, single digits years old, went up to our client and goes, "Hey, look, I got shot," like she got a new Barbie. It was it was no different, and it's just like that weighs on you. And so when we hear this awesome story of going just way beyond what what unfortunately some people would do, where they're just like, "Sorry, you're SOL. I got things to do. I got a schedule to adhere to." It's like, no. I'll take the ass chewing for being too tied up in this call because it's the right thing to do.
Right.
And then usually, depending on no, I'm just kidding. Usually,
Yeah.
when you talk to your supervisor, we're like, "Yeah, of course, you definitely should have done that."
Right.
Why are you there for 4 hours? Well, I had a kid that did where he lived and was so that those kind of things I'm all for, and we'll make sure we take care of that patrol officer too.
Absolutely. Yeah. So
My two.
What does it say? What's yours?
Lieutenant Shaughnessy had a situation where he split up. There was a domestic violence situation happening, but they were being cordial
Okay.
in front of him, and then one of the female was just like help me to him multiple times, and he separated him and got her transported to a medical facility and got her out of I mean, I can only imagine how abusive
Bad situation.
yeah, for someone to because there's times where there's abuse in relationships and the people still stick it out, and there's a lot of psychological things that cause that, and it's difficult to get out of those relationships. So if someone's crying out for help and we're able to do it, that's a huge win. And for him to do it the way he did was textbook.
Yes.
And very well done on his part. That guy's one of our veteran guys. And then the other one,
Lieutenant Lulu, good job.
Yep, Lieutenant Lulu Lamone. And then the other one's his brother, Lieutenant Brown, was literally gophering us lunch at Chick-fil-A, and God put him there because Lieutenant Brown happens to be a shit magnet when it comes to problems. He's literally in the drive-thru with I don't know, it was like $100 worth of Chick-fil-A that I was getting for everybody here, and he goes, bad news is your food's going to be cold. Good news is I just performed CPR on a guy that coded out in the lobby, and he's got breath back, and we think he's functioning. And I was like, yeah, I don't care about my chicken being cold at this point, dude. Like, you literally just saved some guy's life, and as young as Brown is, to have the composure to do something like that.
And I will say, Brown has I don't want to call it the worst luck because every time it's happened,
he went through like 6 tourniquets in one
you
weekend.
want that guy there.
he's got
that
the.
stuff goes
Well,
down.
or you don't want him around because something bad's going to happen.
I said I don't want to call it the worst luck because he's done that multiple times and he's saved lives a few times doing that. But he has the kind of luck that where he's going to go to a supermarket or he's going to walk into Target and someone's going to walk up to him and go, "Hey, are you AMTS certified? Because you look like somebody would be. Because we got a guy who's it's like
yeah, some guy's foaming at the mouth back over here. I mean, just for a kid his age to go through the emotional stressors that of performing CPR. I remember the first time I had to perform CPR on somebody. Unfortunately, the guy didn't make it, and so that one stuck with me for a while. And those types of things for someone at his age, and Shaughnessy is, I think, 5 minutes older than him. So for those guys to have the
type of
mental
composure,
the mental maturity that they have at their age, and not just them, a lot of our officers. I'm just using them as an example because that's two things that they handled,
very well,
that a 30-year vet would handle.
Absolutely.
To that caliber. And I mean, you've done the same. And so it's seeing you guys do that just is such a cool, just a cool experience for me as someone that, you know, I'm tooting my own horn, that put together this team. You know, I and you and I have had this conversation before. You know, you've been a great addition to it, and you're moving right along. And yeah,
Gotta let some of that ego out. I'm sorry, guys.
So you just keep scheduling, nerd. It's I really pride myself on being able to see good talent, and it's not. He does the same thing. He just doesn't get as much credit, but
Mine's not as visible as his.
Well, he's just part of you're part of the culture that people want to be a part of, and so that's a big part of it. I just have the ability in my job to say that's the one, you know, and so come here, you know, you're gonna work for me or with me, really, and we're gonna do some really cool things together, and so it's really cool to sit back and kind of see that happen and see you guys continue to have situations where we're saving somebody's life, you know, we're getting somebody out of a horrible domestic situation, you know, you're teaching these guys, you've already taken on such a big role as a mentor to these officers where they're really finding joy in coming to work because they're well equipped. They've got a supervisor like you that gives a shit and is going to be there for them.
Yeah. On top of that, they got the great knowledge and given to them by their supervisors to be able to do those things.
Yeah. It's just a real,
Absolutely.
It's a great recipe for success.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yes.
So other than that, I don't think we really have anything else. We'll go into our little weather spat that we do every time.
Do you have
is no
anything you
raging
want to add?
No, I think that those are the two stories I figured you were going to talk about. That's that's
I knew
awesome.
I knew the second one. No raging storm, so we're not going to lose power when we do this time. So
Last time we got
middle of
out.
doing this, just cut out.
Well, you guys did Monday. I just wasn't here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who was on Monday?
You're losing it now. Your position's like filtering. So
No, that's not true. The Titans need their captain.
so let's see. Saturday we're looking at storms in the afternoon, about a 40% chance. Sunday, storms in the morning. Looking at 88 and 90 degrees over the weekend, so it's going to be warm and rainy. Monday, we're looking at sunshine all day at 95 degrees. Tuesday, 98 degrees with cloud coverage. Wednesday we hit 100 degrees, so it's going to be fun. And then Thursday, they're projecting storms in the morning with a temperature of 91, so it's going to be
That's the
hot
storm.
one.
Yeah, the hot, and then the storm coming, so it's going to be sticky.
Yeah, it's going to be nasty.
I see a lot of emojis over there. What are people talking about?
They're
Making fun of
laughing
me?
they're laughing at us.
Oh, that's usually what they do.
I like laughter.
But no, so it's gonna be a hot weekend. Hydration is gonna be a good one. Keeping you guys safe. We talked a little bit about it with the heat and heat advisory that we did. I think that was the Monday show. So stay hydrated. Take care of you guys. Take care of yourselves. And see, I think I do this every time we do hydration. Hydration is the day before, not the day of. I'm going to get sick of saying that, or you guys are going to get sick of hearing it. I don't know which one's first. But so take care of yourselves, guys. Other than that, we will see you guys on Monday. Have a good weekend. Stay safe. And we will catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for joining us. Brant, thank you again so much for devoting your time and coming in on your day off. And you enjoy your weekend as well.
Thank you.
So thanks, guys.
Chair's so noisy.